Hi, and welcome back to Mingus on Tech. I'm Ken Mingus, Executive Editor at Computer World. I'm here with Dan Rosenbaum to talk about the BlackBerry Key 2. Stick around. Okay, so Dan, you've had some time with the BlackBerry Key 2, and I wanted to see what you think about it. BlackBerry sort of goes through this up and down cycle where they're on top of the world, and they're not on top of the world. And I know the Key 1 came out last year. What do you think about the Key 2? Does it have some features that are going to make it a seller?
Well, you and I have this conversation about once a month about what makes a telephone good for the enterprise. What's an enterprise phone?
Right.
And if you're going to have exhibit one for what an enterprise phone is going to be the Key 2 from BlackBerry. This is not a phone. Put it this way: LG is running these TV ads now with what is it, Ariana Grande?
Yeah.
And the big deal about this is that you can take a selfie by voice.
Right.
Apple has these ads where you can unlock anything by looking at it.
Yep.
Samsung has ads saying that if you're mad at Apple, you should buy the Galaxy.
The anti-Apple ad. Yeah, you're right.
The anti-Apple ad.
Yeah.
The Key 1, or I'm sorry, the Key 2, the BlackBerry phones are phones that you're going to use if your job is to run the world.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, it's the ultimate writing machine.
Okay.
This is what a BlackBerry looks like. It's sort of what a BlackBerry, the classic BlackBerry, has always looked like. And the thing that's the key here is that hard keyboard.
Right.
This is a machine that is not designed for taking selfies. It's not designed for doing anything really except writing.
So this is basically your nonsense, secure cell phone, mobile phone that doesn't have lots of social media features, right. The kinds of things that are being advertised by their rivals. And so this is how BlackBerry is pitching it. This is the phone for business, basically.
This is a hardcore business phone.
Yeah. This
is a phone that lets you write long things, that lets you edit long things and read them. The camera's okay. There's a dual lens camera that's new on the Key 2, and they make sort of a big deal out of it. But at the press preview for the phone, the thing that got the biggest applause was the keyboard.
Of course. Well, one would think so.
I mean, they mentioned that this keyboard was built to the spec of some other keyboard that keyboard fans loved, and I swear to you, Ken, people applauded.
What is it about the keyboard? Okay, I understand physical keyboard versus the virtual keyboard that you see on a screen. But I mean, has BlackBerry done something more? It basically, evolved the keyboard on the Key 2, so it's better than the one on the Key 1, or is it because it's the BlackBerry keyboard? That's what everybody that buys BlackBerry really wants.
Well, it's really a better keyboard. The keys are about 20% bigger. They made the phone a tiny bit wider and a little bit longer. They took away a bevel on the sides of the older one, so there's a little more elbow room for the keys. So the keys are 20% bigger. But besides that, BlackBerry has made the whole keyboard area a touchpad.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, as you're writing along, and let's see if I can even demo this. As you're writing along, you can use the whole keyboard to move the cursor, to flick words. The predictive text shows up just above the keyboard, 3 words, left, right, and center.
Yep.
And if you want the one on the left, you flick upwards on the keyboard, and the one on the left flies into place. If you want to backspace a word, you flick left on the keyboard with your thumb, and the word deletes. Previous word deletes. You can work up an incredible head of steam writing on this thing. So the writing, the text abilities are better than anyone else. But the other thing about it is that it's secure. BlackBerry has always been known for super secure communications, and they're continuing that here. There's a locker feature that you can put the things that you need to be completely secure behind a locker that requires another password or another fingerprint. So if you're like the director of Central Intelligence and you want to hand the phone to your mother-in-law to make a call, you can do that without bringing down the Inspector General or the Russians around your ears.
Well, BlackBerry has long been seen as the go-to phone, I think, in Washington for federal government employees for that reason. So is that particular security feature new to the Key 2, or is that something that sort of carries over from the Key 1? If we know.
That locker, I think, is a new thing on it. One other sort of neat feature is, and I'm looking at this. Okay, so you have the screen, and you take 3 fingers.
Yep.
And you tap the screen, and of course the demo doesn't work.
That's all right.
But
what's it supposed to do?
It's supposed to just black out the screen.
Oh, that's that privacy shield.
There's a privacy shield.
Right. Okay. So if you're working on something and suddenly you're on an airplane and somebody sits down next to you, or you're in a public space and someone you think maybe kind of looking over your shoulder, whatever, you can just three finger tap and the screen will go dark.
Right.
Okay.
There's also a convenience key. You can assign every letter on the keyboard a shortcut. So if you're writing an email, you want to check your Facebook, you can set things up so you hold down the F key and Facebook pops up. You don't need to go back to the home screen. You don't need to be swiping around or seeing what you've done before. You can jump directly from app to app to app to app to app.
So it basically allows you to use the keyboard to navigate around whatever is on the screen between apps, or if you need shortcuts for can you do shortcuts for like phrases or like if there's certain phrases or acronyms or things like that you normally would drop into emails or text messages or whatever, you can sort of set those up too.
Right, you can set up shortcuts for that too.
Yeah.
The native text editor, by the way, lets you do bullet points, lets you number lists, put in checkboxes. This is stuff that I haven't seen in any other text processor in a phone.
Yeah.
It's designed for actual work.
I wonder. Well, let me just ask you this. How long? Let's say that I decided mysteriously to get rid of my iPhone 10 and wanted to move to the BlackBerry. Is there how long is the learning curve to get used to the new keyboard and all of the features that it has?
There's a learning curve. I mean, it's an Android-based phone.
Right.
But most Android-based phones are very heavily Android. You can pretty much move from a Samsung to an LG to a Nokia and be up on the curve really fast. BlackBerry takes a little more time because the BlackBerry optimizes a lot of stuff. There's a BlackBerry text editor. There's a BlackBerry hub, which can collect all your calendars, all your word processors in one place, and you learn to start from there. It will probably take a day to get up to speed on this. It's not a simple thing. I would
argue that if you can learn most of the features and be able to use the heart, the real keyboard in a day, that's not a bad learning curve as opposed to like a week or a few weeks even.
No, I mean, come on, it's a phone. It's not.
It can be done in a day.
It can be done in a day.
Right.
And speaking of days, the battery life on this thing is worth talking about. I put it on the test bench and did the high drain test, and it lasted 9 hours under full stress. This thing's going to get you through a full day, and then some, maybe 2. And it uses the Qualcomm Quick Charge standard, so you go from 0 to 100% in about 3 hours.
Okay, so you're not likely to run out of battery juice during the course of a business day.
Anytime soon. No.
Yeah. How's the screen? Because for me, I think the I'm not opposed to physical keyboards, but I have gotten used to larger screens, and I think this one has a 4.5-inch screen.
Yeah.
Does that feel at all constrained? Like if you're used to looking at a larger screen, does it? Do you feel like you've got enough screen real estate to do what you want to do?
That's the big compromise. Is the size of the screen, and maybe the quality of the screen. Is it big enough? If you're carrying around an iPhone X, you're going to notice the difference.
Yeah.
The screen, half the size, and frankly, not nearly as high quality. But what are you doing on the screen? The other neat thing that you can do is on the keyboard. You can use the keyboard to scroll. So you flick up and down while you have your Facebook on it, while you have whatever else you're doing on it, and you scroll the screen down there. You don't need to be touching the actual graphic part of the screen all the time.
Got it. Okay.
So it's a compromise. If you're really devoted to big screen, this is going to bug you a little.
Well, but I mean that, to that point, I think most smartphones, all smartphones are going to be a compromise in some way. I mean, and obviously, BlackBerry is playing to the strength here with the physical keyboard for people who really want that. And it sounds like they have really maximized what you can do with it in a way that, makes this the only player in this niche, with
yeah.
They're the only ones doing this, right? With the physical keyboard
it certainly is. I don't know of any other phone, certainly not from a major manufacturer anymore, that has a physical keyboard. And BlackBerry has taken that very, very far.
Yeah.
They have a hard keyboard that can do a few other neat tricks that let you use it as sort of a contemporary phone.
Right.
I wonder if the major constraint on this phone, frankly, isn't the company.
How so?
BlackBerry has been a company in a lot of trouble for, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, as you said. Some major corporate missteps and downdrafts. The phones are designed by BlackBerry in Canada. They're made by a Chinese company, TCL. And TCL makes very good electronic equipment. They're a big TV manufacturer in Europe and Asia. Very, very big brand there. Very little impact in the United States. So the question is, does BlackBerry have the distribution, or TCL have the distribution, or the direct sales infrastructure to get this phone into the hands of businesses?
Yeah.
And that's very much an unproven thing. This phone is not going to sell well in onesies and twosies at the T-Mobile store. This is a phone that needs to be sold in the tens and hundreds and thousands to major Fortune 500 corporations.
Right, and also I would presume government agencies,
Government agencies.
Yeah, state, federal, and local. A couple more specs on it. So it's running Android Oreo 8.1. Is that correct?
8.1. Yeah.
8.1. And do we have pricing information already?
I don't.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that had been released. I know that the pre-orders are supposed to start, I believe, later this week, and then it actually arrives mid-July. Is that
It's going to arrive. It's going to arrive mid-July. Pre-orders are just starting.
Just starting. Okay, great. So, are you ready to move from what phone do you currently have now? That your phone.
My phone is an iPhone X.
Okay. Would you consider moving to a BlackBerry? Do you really, now maybe you're not a physical keyboard guy, so therefore this one's not going to be on your radar. But having used this device,
that question makes me squirm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think if I were going for pure practicality, I might go with the BlackBerry.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a coolness factor.
Yeah.
There's different kinds of cool. There's geek cool, and there's
social cool.
Master of the universe cool.
Yeah.
And
which one is this one? Which one's the BlackBerry? Is it geek cool or Master of the universe cool?
Oh, Master of the universe.
Okay. If you've got a BlackBerry, you're running the world basically, or you think you are.
Right. And the BlackBerry isn't Ariana Grande. The BlackBerry is the Secretary of State sitting in the middle of a government plane, focused on the phone, making sure the world doesn't blow up in the next 10 minutes.
Well, I guess we should hope, therefore, that BlackBerry manages to get its act together and can sell a bunch of these things so that the masters of the universe can continue to keep the universe intact.
I wouldn't presume to say.
Yes. Okay. Good. Any final thoughts before I let you go in terms of the Key 2 and anything that people should know about it if they're interested?
I think if you're serious about communication, if what you do is communicate with your phone, communicate in words with your phone, you really, really need to look at this at the Key 2. It's just a wonderful machine for writing and generating text.
Okay. Go ahead.
The rest of it, you might want to look at something else. If you live in text, if you live in email, it's time to look at BlackBerry.
Right. And if security is really uppermost in your mind and you really like physical keyboards, this must be your phone for 2018.
Right.
Okay, great. All right, Dan, listen, thanks a lot. I really appreciate the download on all the information. I do have a better understanding about the Key 2 now. So I guess if you're a master of the universe, your phone is soon to arrive. Dan, thanks a lot.
You bet. My pleasure.
For now, that's a wrap.